Hello, hi everyone. Hello, hi everyone. Hello, hi everyone. Welcome to a new live stream. How's it going? I hope everything is great. Hope everything is good. Today we are going to talk about the word ESO, the Spanish word ESO. Do you know the meaning? Do you know how to use it? Do you know some phrases? Well, today we're going to talk about that. Before we get started, don't forget to subscribe and also click on the bell icon so you can get notified every time I live stream, because I live stream every week. Sometimes the time changes, sometimes the day changes, but it usually happens every week. So if you don't want to miss out my streams, just click on that bell notification icon next to subscribe and activate all the notifications so you don't miss out any of my live streams. Okay, I want to give a big shout out to our Cafecito members: Teresa Pocket, Robert Green, Tom Siebold, Ralph Marquez, Brianna L., Ruby Brockenberry, Christopher Michael, William Lopez, Gregory Ramirez, Michael Lee, and David Beaver. Thank you guys for the support. El cafecito está delicioso. Delicioso. I love coffee. What can I tell you? So once again, thank you, Cafecito members. You can also support the channel. You can also become a member. If you want to know more about the Cafecito membership, just click on the join button down below. Essentially, you're just buying me a cup of coffee every month. So it's very cheap. It's less than $3, I believe. And also there's some perks when getting the membership, of course. So if you want to know more about it, please just click on the join button down below. Excellent. Thank you again, Cafecito members. Okay. So ESO is the word. ESO. ESO has two meanings, but it has a meaning. One of them is the most common meaning. So we will talk about that. We will see some examples and more. Remember that I'm live streaming, so if you want to ask any questions about what we're learning, please use the live chat for that. The only thing you gotta do, you gotta subscribe, because the live chat is subscribers only. Excellent. Okay. ESO. ESO means just two things. Just two things. But one meaning is the most common meaning, and you will use this word if you want to say this other specific English word. But let's look at the first meaning. The first meaning of ESO is that. ESO, that. Okay? If you're pointing out because you want someone to look at that, then you will use ESO, that. ESO allá, that over there. Okay? So keep that in mind. That's the most basic common meaning of ESO. So let's look at some examples using this word. Eso no me gusta. Eso no me gusta. Eso no me gusta. So the meaning of this phrase, of this sentence, is I don't like that. I don't like that. Okay? Eso, oops, sorry. Let me just break this down for you. Eso, right here. Eso, that. No, similar to saying in this situation, don't. Me gusta. Me gusta is a phrase, a common phrase that means I like. Okay? So when you have no me gusta, that's the opposite. I don't like dot, dot, dot. In this situation, that, whatever that is, it could be a physical thing or something non-tangible that you don't like the situation, for example. Eso, that, okay? So we don't know what we're talking about. It's a bit vague, but we know that this person doesn't like that. Eso no me gusta. I don't like that, okay? So that is an easy example using eso. So let's look at the next example. Pásame eso. Pásame eso. Okay, pásame eso. What does this mean? This is a common phrase, and this means pass me that. Pass me that. Whatever that is. Eso is commonly used when you don't want to specify what it is. You're just saying that. Okay? It could be anything. It could be anything. So, pásame, pásame, pásame. It's very important to remember to add the accent mark right here, because otherwise it would be pásame, pásame, okay? So we need the accent mark there. Unless you're in Argentina, the intonation changes a bit, but for the rest of the Latin American countries and Spain even, you need accent marks for this kind of intonation. Pásame, okay? Pásame. Pásame, pass me, pásame, pasa, pasa comes from the verb pasar, and pasar means quite a few things, but essentially it means also to pass, okay? So when you say pásame, you're adding a pronoun there, me, which means me, okay? And the whole word is pásame, and it means pass me, okay? Eso, you know what eso means? Eso means that, okay? So this is like the most basic use of eso. Eso means that, okay? You can use it by itself if you want to, point out something. Pass me that, pásame eso, or just eso, okay? Eso, that, or you can use it in just as part of a sentence, right? You can add more to eso, and it can have verb, nouns, pronouns, and so on. Just like we see here, we have sentences. Okay, excellent. Now, the second meaning of this word, oh, by the way, do you have any questions? This lesson was suggested by one of you guys, a member. So thank you for suggesting that, for giving me the idea. But anyways, let's talk about the second meaning of eso. Eso can also mean sometimes, not all the time. It's not an often thing. But eso can sometimes mean it, okay? When I said previously, eso no me gusta, it means literally, I don't like that, but sometimes it's similar to saying, I don't like it, okay? So just keep that in mind. But yeah, eso can also mean eat. Nothing specific, just eat. For example, deja de hablar de eso. Deja de hablar de eso. Okay? This means stop talking about it or about that. Okay? So similar to saying about it, about that, hablar de eso, dejar deja de hablar de eso. Stop talking about it or about that. Okay? Let's break it down. Deja is a command. This word is very good. Deja means stop in this situation. Okay? Because deja can also mean other things. Dejar comes from the verb dejar. Dejar means to leave, okay? To leave, if you leave the keys on the table. Dejé las llaves en la mesa, okay? But as a command and as part of a sentence, sometimes dejar can be used to say stop, okay? Stop doing something. And something really helpful is when you use dejar de, as I said before, that's a command, and you're saying stop specifically doing something, okay? It could be talking, it could be eating, running, jumping, anything. Deja de hablar. In this situation, it means stop talking. You need, if you say deja de, okay, if you say this, if you use this phrase, the verb that you use right after, it has to be in an infinitive way. So it means do not conjugate it, just use it as it is. So hablar, correr, comer, caminar, saltar, okay? So in English it's different. Stop talking, stop walking, stop chewing, and so on, right? But in Spanish it works differently. So deja de, and then add the verb. In this situation, hablar means to talk, okay? Deja de hablar, stop talking. Deja de comer, stop eating. Deja de caminar, stop walking, okay? So this is something really, really interesting, a very useful phrase, deja de. So remember that. Hablar, talking, or to talk. And when you have de eso as a little phrase, that means about it or about that. In this situation, it could work either way. Stop talking about it, stop talking about that. So in Spanish, you can say deja de hablar de eso, de eso. Okay, so remember that little phrase, de eso. It can mean about it or about that. Okay, now eso, well, in this situation, it, in this specific situation, and de means about. You can also say acerca de eso, same thing, about it, because acerca is another Spanish word, common Spanish word that means about. When you say acerca de, you cannot say acerca eso. You have to say acerca de, okay? Acerca de. So remember that if you want to say acerca. Okay, but you don't need it. You can use it. It's commonly said in Spanish as well, but you have the option. You can say acerca de or just acerca. Just de eso. De eso. So same thing, about it, about that. Excellent. Now, the other example, guys, is, hablemos de eso. Hablemos de eso. Hablemos de eso. We're using, again, hablar, but this is the opposite of dejar de or deja de. We're not saying stop talking. We're doing quite the opposite. So this means, this means let's talk about it or about that. Okay? Hablemos. Hablemos means let's talk. Hablemos. Let's talk. De eso, again, de eso, about it or about that. Okay? Hablemos de eso. Let's talk about it or about that. So very simple. This is a very, very simple phrase, commonly said in Spanish because people like to talk about things or they don't like to talk about things. So you can use either sentence. Deja de hablar de eso. Hablemos de eso if you want to stop talking about something or talk about something, or if you want to talk about something. That's quite interesting. Now, the next example, I have another example actually that I want to show you. Okay, this is more like an expression, okay? Nada de eso. Nada de eso. Nada de eso. Nada de eso. What does this mean? Nada de eso. Again, we're using de eso. This means far from it, sorry, far from it, or nothing at all. You know, you're not saying, maybe there's like a misunderstanding and you just want to clarify, or you just want to say, no, far from it. You know, it's the opposite, quite the opposite. So you can say nada de eso, and it's similar to saying far from it, okay? For example, this is the example, but let's break it down. Nada essentially means nothing, okay? De eso means about it, about that. So nothing about it, nothing about that. But as an expression, it's similar to saying far from it, okay? So sometimes you cannot translate Spanish into English word by word because it doesn't make sense. But this is an example of that for sure. Okay, so eso can sometimes mean it, okay? But the main meaning is that, eso, okay? And yeah, it's very important to know that. Before we continue, I just want to say that eso can also be plural, but the meaning changes. As we previously said, eso means that. If you say esos, that means those. Okay, so that is the plural form of eso when it means that. Okay, esos, those. But if it means it, you don't need plural. You don't need plural. It's just it or that. Okay. Now, any questions? No questions? That's good. That's good. Okay, so those are the two meanings of eso. Main meanings, main uses. But there's more. Of course, there's more. There are common phrases that are said in Spanish, are used in Spanish to say different things. And those phrases use eso. Okay, so we're going to learn 5 different phrases. We'll see some examples as well. Hello, OT. Hola. Hola. ¿Cómo estás? Espero que estés muy bien. Welcome. Okay. Excellent. The first phrase is por eso. Por eso. Now, if you translate this word by word, por means for or by. And eso means that. That. For that. Okay? So this is quite interesting. What are we talking about here? The meaning of this phrase is, that's why. That's why. Why in Spanish is por qué. But if you want to say that's why, you say por eso. Por eso. That's quite interesting. Let's look at some examples using por eso. Por eso no fui a trabajar. Por eso no fui a trabajar. So this phrase is great if you want to explain why you didn't do something or why you did something. It's your reason, right? What's your reason? So you can use por eso in those situations. Por eso no fui a trabajar. This means that's why I didn't go to work. Okay? Maybe you were saying, I felt horrible yesterday. I was so sick, right? That's why I didn't go to work. Okay? So, me sentí muy mal ayer. Por eso no fui a trabajar. Okay? So you can say at the beginning or before, you can say your reason or you can say what happened, and then you use por eso no fui a trabajar. That's why you didn't do something or you did something. Okay? Let's break this down. Por eso, that's why. No fui. No fui. Well, in this situation, no is similar to saying not, right? Fui or didn't, sorry, no, similar to didn't. Fui means go, to go, past tense. So that's why in English it's different, the grammar is different. So when you say no fui, it means I didn't go, okay? A, fui a, this phrase right here, ir a, that comes from ir a. Ir is the verb, infinitive way. A, to go to, okay, to some place. So fui a, past tense, didn't go to. Trabajar means to work. In this situation, work, okay? No fui a trabajar. I didn't go to work. Por eso no fui a trabajar. That's why I didn't go to work. And once again, you could say something. Let me just give you a reason why I didn't go to work, okay? So I could say, me dolió, dolía la cabeza. Okay? The literal translation is my head hurt. Okay? Similar to saying I had a headache. Okay? Me dolía la cabeza. Por eso no fui a trabajar. I had a headache. That's why I didn't go to work. Okay? So this is past tense because maybe it happened yesterday, okay? Or a few days back. And that's why you didn't go to work last week, yesterday, or any time in the past. Excellent. So that is a complete, I don't want to say sentence, phrase, or anything, but context. It's a better context, okay? So, me dolía la cabeza. I had a headache. Por eso no fui a trabajar. That's why I didn't go to work. Me dolía means like something was hurting. In this situation, la cabeza means head, okay? So the whole thing, me dolía la cabeza, it's similar to saying my head hurt or I had a headache, and that's why you didn't go to work. Excellent. Okay. Let me just remove that. Oops, just like that. Now, the next example. Let's look at the next example. Oops. Por eso no quería venir al cine. Por eso no quería venir al cine. Okay, so this means that's why I didn't want to come to the movies, or I didn't want to come to the movie theater. So yes, basically that is the meaning of this. If you notice, por eso is used at the beginning of the sentence. Por eso, so that's commonly done. Okay, por eso, por eso. No, you can make it positive or negative. You could remove no. Por eso quería venir al cine. That's why I wanted to come to the movies, okay? Or negative. Por eso no quería venir al cine. That's why I didn't want to come to the movies. Okay, so no quería means I didn't want, and por eso, that's why, okay? Venir means to come. When you say a, venir a, to come to, and we have the letter L because cine is masculine. That's a masculine noun, so essentially el cine. But when you have the letter A and then el, you have to make it one word, and that becomes al, okay? You don't say a el cine. You gotta say al cine, okay? And al, similar to saying to, cine, the movies, okay? Cine, el cine, the movies, the movie theater, okay? So that's what it means. Excellent. Por eso means that's why. That's why. Por eso. Por eso. Maybe in the second example, a reason why the person didn't want to go to the movies was because there was a lot of people. Maybe the person didn't want to be surrounded by too many people, and that could be a reason. That's why. Por eso. Okay, so that's just some context for you. I'm just giving you some context. But por eso is commonly said in Spanish, and it means that's why. Excellent. Phrase number 2. Any questions? Okay. The next phrase is ESO, ESO, ESO. Okay, we're using ESO again. ESO? So this is a question, common question, and it means, how come? ESO? How come? Okay, so this is another common thing to say in Spanish and in English. You know, ESO? How come? So you have both versions, Spanish and English, right? So I'm both very commonly said in those languages. So ESO, you can use ESO just as you would use how come in English, okay? So for example, someone says, no quiero postre. No quiero postre. Okay? And then you can ask, ¿y eso? Okay? No quiero postre. ¿Y eso? ¿Y eso? How come? No quiero postre means I don't want dessert. Okay? I don't want dessert. How come? Okay? Why? Essentially, you're asking why. So this is a different way to say why in Spanish. Very similar. It's very similar to saying how come? How come? No quiero postre. No quiero means I don't want. Postre, dessert. Okay? It's not common to say no quiero el postre because sometimes in Spanish you use definite articles like el, la, los, las. Okay? But when you are talking about not wanting something or wanting something, you just usually say no quiero and then the noun. Okay? Unless there's something specific. Quiero el postre de ayer. I want yesterday's dessert. Okay, so that's specific, very specific. But when you're talking about any dessert or anything, nothing specific, then you don't need the definite article el, masculine el, feminine la. Okay, you don't need it. So no quiero postre. I don't want dessert. And then if someone asks, or if you ask, ¿y eso? Then that means, how come? ¿Y eso? Maybe that person always eats dessert, and for some reason, today that person didn't want any. So you are curious. You want to know why, right? So anyways, that's the meaning of ¿y eso? The next example is no vuelvo a ir a ese lugar. No vuelvo a ir a ese lugar. This means, someone can ask, ¿y eso? Okay? ¿Y eso? Usually, ¿y eso is used when someone doesn't want to do something. Okay? So usually it's used in negative situations. And you just want to know the reason why. Okay? No vuelvo a ir a ese lugar means I'm not going to that place again. Okay? ¿Y eso? How come? No vuelvo means it's tricky because when you say no vuelvo a ir, this whole sentence means I'm not going to again. Okay. Including as well. No vuelvo a ir a. Okay. So vuelvo comes from the verb volver. Volver means to come back. It means quite a few things. Volver means to return, to come back, to go back. Okay? So essentially you're saying I'm not coming back to that place. But it's also similar to saying that you're not going to do something again. In this situation, going. Right? You're not going back to that place. So it's similar to saying that no vuelvo a ir a ese lugar. I'm not going to that place again. I'm not coming back to that place again. Okay? So it's similar to saying that. But volver can mean all of that, to come back, to return, to go back. Okay? Ir comes from ir is a verb and it means to go. Okay? So, no vuelvo a, it's like saying I'm not doing something again. In this situation, ir, going. Okay? We are going. Ir a is a common phrase / verb when you want to say ir a la tienda, for example. To go to the store. Ir a ese lugar. Ese lugar means that place. That place. Okay? Ese. Why aren't we using eso here if eso means that? Because when you have the noun, you have a noun. Eso is more vague. You're just saying that, okay? That, whatever that thing is. But when you're specific, You need ese. Ese lugar. We're talking about a place. We have place here. Now, if you want to say no vuelvo a ir a eso, it's very vague. You can say it, but it sounds odd. When you don't want to go back to what? Back in time? I mean, I'm kidding. That would not be an option. But it could be an event. It could be a place. It could be, I don't know, anything. As usually events, work, something that is not tangible. But in this situation, we're talking about a place. That place. Ese lugar. Okay? Ese lugar. And then you have the question, ¿y eso? How come? Oops. How come? ¿Y eso? So this whole thing, I know it can be confusing. No vuelvo a ir. That can be simplified if you want to simplify it. But this is a more advanced way to say it. No voy. You could say it, no voy a ese lugar otra vez. Otra vez is more similar to again, okay? And no voy means I'm not going. No voy a, I'm not going to ese lugar. Ese lugar, that place. Otra vez means again, okay? So no voy means I'm not going to ese, that lugar, place, okay? So that's a more literal translation. Otra vez, again, okay? And then someone can ask, how come? ¿Y eso? ¿Y eso? Why? What happened? What happened? But as I had it before, the sentence, it's also commonly said, oops, no vuelvo a ir a ese lugar. I'm not going to that place again. ¿Y eso? How come? Man, I'm trying to simplify things. I hope it's simple for you. It can be complicated for sure. Okay, the next phrase, guys. Remember, y eso means how come. Okay? Now, the next phrase number 3, and then we have 2 more, and that is it. Ooh, this one is good. It's so common. It's so common to say this. Eso es bueno or eso es malo. Okay, so you can use either one, bueno or malo. Okay, and you don't have to change this to feminine or plural. You don't need that. You just need bueno, malo. Eso es bueno or eso es malo. So what does this mean? This means that's good or that's bad. Eso es bueno means that's good. Eso es malo, that's bad. Okay? That's bad. Eso, that, es, is, bueno, good, malo, bad. Okay? For example, mañana me voy de vacaciones. Okay? Someone tells you, mañana me voy de vacaciones. So what's your reaction to this? Do you know the meaning of the sentence? You could say, eso es bueno, te lo mereces. Eso es bueno, te lo mereces. Okay, so this whole thing means, the first sentence means I'm going on vacation tomorrow. Okay, so I'm going on somewhere. The beach, the forest, I don't know, anywhere. And then you, if you want to answer to that or have a reaction to that, you can say that. Eso es bueno, te lo mereces. That's a positive a sentence right there. So it means that's good. You deserve it. You deserve it. So if you say only eso es bueno, it's acceptable. Acceptable. You can say that to someone. Eso es bueno. But you can add more to the phrase. You can say, you deserve it. Te lo mereces. Te lo mereces. Okay? Now let's break this down. Mañana. Mañana means tomorrow. Mañana, usually in Spanish, can be used at the beginning of a sentence or at the end of a sentence. It's fine. It's completely acceptable. Mañana me voy. Me voy means I'm going. Okay? De vacaciones. On vacation, you know. De vacaciones means you can use it in different situations. Some people, it's weird because vacaciones sound like it's plural. So are you talking about multiple vacation? Plural vacation? No, vacaciones, las vacaciones means vacation, okay? So de vacaciones means on vacation. Now, eso es bueno. You know the meaning of this. That's good. Te lo mereces. Te lo mereces. This is a very good, positive phrase that means you deserve it. Okay? Mereces comes from the verb merecer, which means to deserve. And the whole phrase, te lo mereces or tú te lo mereces, you deserve it. Okay? So remember that phrase, te lo mereces, because it's a good one. And eso es bueno, that's also another great expression. Okay, excellent. So let's look at the next example. Now we're going to use eso es malo. Okay? Let's see. Me despidieron de mi trabajo. Me despidieron de mi trabajo. Oh, that sucks. Eso es muy malo. ¿Qué vas a hacer? Me despidieron de mi trabajo. Eso es muy malo. ¿Qué vas a hacer? So someone can say that. Me despidieron de mi trabajo. And then you can say, eso es malo. Eso es malo. ¿Qué vas a hacer? Okay? So the first sentence means they fired me. Okay? It's a long sentence to say, just to say they fired me. But we will know why. I'll tell you why. So, eso es muy malo. ¿Qué vas a hacer? Means that's very bad. What are you going to do? Okay? So that's intense. That's intense. Me despidieron. Me despidieron. Someone can just say that. Me despidieron. And that means they fired me. Okay? They fired me. Me despidieron. Despidieron comes from the verb despedir. Despedir is another interesting verb because it means to say goodbye or to fire when someone fires you. So it's very peculiar that this verb has those two meanings: to say goodbye, to fire you. That's just crazy. Me despidieron means they fired me. Ellos me despidieron. They fired me. Remember that this is a very common pronoun to use. And the other one, ellos, sometimes you can use it. Sometimes you don't really need it. Most of the times you don't really need it unless you want to be specific. Okay? If you wanna say it because you need more context, you can say it, of course. But usually the pronouns yo, tú, él, nosotros, ustedes, ellos, ellas, vosotros, those pronouns are not said all the time. But this one, me, if you need it, you need it. If you need it, you need it. You have to. Most of the times, I would say all the times. If it's a grammatical, or if it's grammatically correctly to use me, you have to say it. Okay. Me despidieron. They fired me. Some people also include de mi trabajo. Okay. It's kind of redundant to say that you just got fired from your job, right? It's pretty much that's what you're saying. So de mi trabajo, you can say that me despidieron de mi trabajo. They fired me. When you use despedir, by the way, you use the word de. Okay? Most of the times, you will have to use de. Me despidieron de. And then you're saying my job, mi trabajo. Okay? Trabajo means job or work. So the whole thing, me despidieron de mi trabajo, means they fired me. You can also say me despidieron. Okay? Just like that. And it means the same thing. They fired me. Now we have eso es muy malo. Eso es muy malo. Now we changed something here. We added muy. Okay? You can include muy. You can add muy before malo or bueno. You can say eso es muy bueno or eso es muy malo. Okay? And that is good. That's correct. And that means in this situation, eso es muy malo. It means that's very bad. If you want to say eso es muy bueno, that's very good. Okay? So that's the meaning. ¿Qué vas a hacer? ¿Qué vas a hacer? This whole question means what are you going to do? ¿Qué vas a? Is a common question, beginning of a question that means what are you going to, and then you add the verb. For example, ¿qué vas a? Means what are you going to? Hacer means do. Okay? Do, to make. Okay? But, if you want, you can replace this with a different verb. You can say, ¿qué vas a comer? Okay? This is, forget about this. If you say, ¿qué vas a comer? ¿Qué vas a comer? That means, what are you going to eat? Okay? So you can change this verb to different verbs. In this situation, we need hacer. It's in an infinitive way, or the infinitive way. So hacer, comer, caminar, coser, trabajar. Okay? But when asking, ¿qué vas a hacer? That's a common thing to ask, and that means what are you going to do? Okay? So excellent. Remember, eso es bueno means that's good. Eso es malo, that's bad. Okay? So remember that. It's quite important if you want to use this phrase. You can use it to be empathetic. Okay? So that's something good. Okay, excellent. Next phrase. We have only, sorry about that. We have only 2 more. Excellent. Phrase number 4 is para eso. Para eso. Para eso. Para means for, eso means that. Okay? And we have the literal translation for that. Sometimes that doesn't happen. Sometimes it does. Sometimes you have a literal translation. Sometimes you don't. So, para eso, for that. So this is very commonly said in Spanish if you want to explain how to do something, or maybe you need something. So for that, you need that, right? Same thing. For example, la computadora sirve para eso. La computadora, in Spain, computadora is ordenador. I'm pretty sure you know the meaning of that word. Computadora sounds very similar to the English word, some English word. So, sirve para eso. What does this mean? That's what the computer is for. That's what the computer is for. In English, that's a very common thing to do, to have, to have this at the beginning, that's, or that, and for at the end, right? In Spanish, you don't need to worry about that because you will need the phrase together. You don't need to separate it. So we have it right at the end, para eso. Okay? When using this phrase, usually in this situation, if you want to say that something works for, or that's what the computer is for, when you separate those two in English, those two words in Spanish, usually you place it at the end. Okay? La computadora sirve para eso. You can also say para eso la computadora sirve. Forget about that. Sorry. No, you cannot do that. You need this at the end. Sorry, I don't know what happened in my mind right now, but you need it at the end. If you say para eso la computadora sirve, it makes no sense. You need it at the end. Sorry, I apologize. La computadora. When speaking two languages, sometimes you get like brain farts. I believe that's the term. It's like a little confused. You get confused just for a second, but yeah, sorry about that. La computadora, the computer. Okay? La computadora. In Spain, specifically, el ordenador. So let me just put it here. El ordenador. El ordenador. Okay? I say la computadora because I'm not from Spain. So that's why I have it here, but I just wanted to let you know. I understand when someone says el ordenador. I know what it is, right? Thanks to the internet, because a lot of people who, like the whole Spanish-speaking countries, the whole community, now with the internet, they communicate more. So we understand a lot of terms from different Spanish-speaking countries, terms from Argentina, terms from Spain, terms from Peru, and so on. So it's very interesting. It's very interesting that most Spanish speakers know the meanings of many peculiar words from different Spanish-speaking countries. Okay, la computadora sirve. Sirve comes from the verb servir, and servir has again some meanings, and it means to be useful or to be used for, to serve as well. Depends on the situation, but when talking about computers, this will be similar to saying it's useful for this or that. Okay, we don't have it in the English sentence, but you need it in Spanish. Okay, la computadora sirve para. If you want to be more specific, you can remove eso and then say something else like sirve para calcular something, or sirve para navegar en el internet. The computer is useful to to use the internet and surf the internet. I think that's surf the internet. Is that a term? Yeah, it is. It is a term. So servir means to be useful for. Okay, para eso, for that, or in this situation, that for. So we don't have what in Spanish, so I mean it's not in here, so that's why I didn't underline it, because it doesn't have it. It doesn't have that word. Excellent. Para eso, para eso. Now the next example, let me show you the next one. We're almost done here. We're almost done. Necesitas varias cosas para hacer eso. Necesitas varias cosas para hacer eso. This means you need several things to do that. Okay? Necesitas, that means you need, similar to saying tú necesitas. Tú necesitas. We don't need tú, that's why we don't have it. You need, necesitas. Okay? Varias means several or many. Okay? Cosas, things. Para, to. Hacer, do. Eso, that. Oops, that. There you go. Necesitas varias cosas para hacer eso. You need several things to do that. Okay, maybe someone is asking, hey, like, how can you make a cake? Can you tell me how to make a cake? Well, you need several things to know in order to make a cake, okay, or do something specific. So this is a great sentence for those situations. Para eso is not together. We have a verb in between, and that works. That works. Okay? Specifically, hacer. Para hacer eso is a common thing to say. To do that, ... you need this and that and whatnot. Okay? Now, I believe I have one more example here. Oh, yeah, I do. No necesitas pedir permiso para eso. Okay? No necesitas pedir permiso para eso means you don't need permission for that. Okay? No necesitas, we have again the verb necesitar, which means to need. No necesitas, you don't need, okay? No necesitas, you don't need. Permiso, pedir permiso. This is a good phrase. Pedir permiso means to ask for permission, okay? That's the literal translation, but it's similar to saying, permission. You don't need permission. No necesitas pedir permiso. You don't need permission para eso, for that. Okay? So that's interesting indeed. Para eso means for that. Lastly, we have the last phrase. The last phrase, guys. Do you have any questions? No questions today, huh? No questions. You can just feel free to ask anything, and I will see your questions, and I will answer them. So just let me know. Okay. Lastly, eso creo. Eso creo is a great phrase. Eso creo. If you want to say, I think so, or I believe so. Okay? Creo comes from the verb creer, creer, double E, C-R-E-E-R, like this. Creer, that's the verb, not conjugated. But if you want to say this, you need this. Creo, creo. Creo means to believe, okay? So it doesn't mean to think. Pensar means to think. Creer means to believe, okay? But when you use the phrase eso creo, it's similar to saying I think so, I believe so, okay? Creo, yo creo, I believe. When you have eso, I think so, I believe so, okay? Excellent, excellent. Let's look at some examples using eso creo. Él vendrá mañana. Él vendrá mañana. Sí, eso creo. I forgot the period here. Sí, eso creo. So if someone asks, ¿él vendrá mañana? Someone can answer, sí, eso creo. Sí, eso creo. You can add sí, eso creo. Usually, well, I gotta say, if you want to say eso creo, it has to be positive. So, sí, you need to use sí if you want. I mean, you don't need to use sí, but you can use sí. Sí, eso creo. You cannot say no, eso creo. No, eso creo doesn't make sense. No. I'll tell you how to make this negative, okay? Él vendrá mañana. Él vendrá mañana. Okay, what does this mean? Will he come tomorrow? And the answer is yes, I believe so. Okay, or yes, I think so. Same thing. Now, if you want to make this negative, you cannot say no, eso creo. No. No. You need to say no. No creo. Okay? No creo, or just no creo. Okay? No creo. So you only have to replace eso with no. No. But if you say sí, oh, by the way, if you say no creo, I don't think so. No creo means I don't think so. So if I say sí, eso creo, that means yes, I believe so. Okay? So positive, negative. Now you know how to say it in a positive way or negative way. Él vendrá mañana. Will he come tomorrow? Okay? That's what it means. So, él, he, vendrá, will come. Okay? This comes from the verb venir, which means to come. This is future tense. Mañana, tomorrow. Tomorrow. Okay? Mañana. Sí. Yes. Eso creo. I believe so. Okay? So, easy breezy. Nothing too complicated here. Let's move on. We have one more example, and that's going to be it, guys. Thank you to everyone who's been watching right until the end, almost the end of the stream. Thank you so much. Now, ¿estás lista para el viaje? ¿Estás lista para el viaje? Eso creo. You can just say eso creo. You don't have to say sí. As I said before, you can just say eso creo, and that's fine. And that means I think so. I believe so. So, what is the question? Are you ready for the trip? Are you ready for the trip? I think so. Sometimes it takes a lot of planning when going on a trip. So this question can be asked often. ¿Estás lista para el viaje? Eso creo. Are you ready for the trip? I think so. Okay? So, ¿estás lista? Means, are you ready? ¿Estás lista? Are you ready? You can even use this question by itself. ¿Estás lista? Are you ready? Okay? In this situation, we are saying lista because lista is the feminine form. Maybe you're asking this to a female or someone who identifies as a female, so then you can say lista, okay? Lista. The masculine form is listo. Okay? Plural form, listos. Okay? And listos usually, you will say están listos. Are you ready? Plural. Okay? Singular, feminine. ¿Estás lista? Are you ready? For el viaje, the trip. Okay? And then the answer, eso creo. I think so. Okay? So this is a common phrase. You can say eso creo if you want to say I think so or I believe so. Sorry, I forgot that. My bad, guys. My bad. I corrected that. So yeah, eso creo, I think so, I believe so. Any questions? I see Alex M. Hola, new subscriber. That's awesome. Thank you, Alex. Thank you for subscribing. ¿Cómo estás, Alex? Espero que estés excelente. Okay, so that is it. Any questions? Remember, guys, that eso means that, and sometimes it means it. Okay, but mostly that. And I hope you liked this lesson. We learned quite a few things. We learned 2 meanings of eso. We also learned different phrases. Por eso. Y eso. Eso es bueno or eso es malo. Para eso. Okay. And lastly, eso creo. So thanks again for watching. Remember that I live stream every week. So if you don't want to miss out any of my lessons, just click on that bell notification thingy. So, and activate all the notifications so YouTube notifies you every time I live stream. Okay. Alex M, gracias por la lección. De nada, Alex, me da gusto que te haya gustado. Me da gusto que te haya gustado. Excellent. So yeah, I also have a Spanish community on Discord if you want to ask more questions about Spanish, if you want to practice your Spanish or ask questions in English or in Spanish, you can do that. If you want to join that community, just you can find the link in the video description down below. Also, if you're not subscribed, subscribe. It's free. And yeah, that helps this channel a lot too. If you also want to support this channel, you can check out the membership. It's a very cheap membership. So just you can read more about it just by clicking on the join button down below. Another way to support this channel is by giving the thumbs up to this video, this stream. That also helps me a lot. Thank you so much. Have a lovely evening, night, morning, afternoon, wherever you are. Muchas gracias por ver este en vivo. Nos vemos a la próxima. Lindsay, gracias por eso. Me gustan estas lecciones. De nada, Lindsay. De nada, muchas gracias por tu mensaje. Thank you so much, Lindsay. You're welcome, and thank you for your kind message. Okay, well, take care, guys. Cuídense. Hasta la próxima. Adiós. Bye-bye. Nos vemos. Bye.